Hello, everybody. This is a true story. This is my story. Let me tell you, if someone had told me 5 years ago that I would ever consider even joking about having a sugar daddy, I would have laughed until my sides hurt. Me? Married woman? Sugar daddy? Ah, God forbid bad thing. But life, as they say, is full of surprises. And here I am, staring at my phone, notifications from Tinder popping up faster than I can blink, and my husband sitting there, as calm as anything, cheering me on like I'm entering the Olympics for, well, I don't even know what to call this. This whole situation started as a joke-o. We've been under so much pressure lately, it's almost like the universe decided to test us. First, my husband lost his job last year. It wasn't his fault. His company downsized, and he was caught in the storm. I still had my job, but you know how it is in this country. One person's salary cannot carry a family of two adults and responsibilities. We started dipping into savings, and before we knew it, we were practically living hand to mouth. We've been married for 5 years, and in those 5 years, we've seen highs and lows. But this financial stress, it was like nothing we'd ever faced before. The frustration was eating away at us. Little, petty arguments over money became the order of the day. Why did you buy this brand of bread instead of the cheaper one? Do we really need to turn on the generator? NEPA will soon bring light. It was exhausting. One night, we were sitting in our tiny sitting room, the kind that's so quiet you can hear the wall clock ticking. I don't know what came over me, but I jokingly said, maybe I should just get a sugar daddy to fund this our broke life. I laughed, expecting him to give me his usual scolding look, or say something like, don't even think about it. But to my surprise, he shrugged and said, maybe that's not such a bad idea. I nearly dropped the cup of tea I was holding. My husband, the same man who once got jealous because I smiled too long at the pastor after church, was okay with me having a sugar daddy. At first, I thought he was joking, so I laughed it off and changed the topic. But the next day, he brought it up again. Seriously, he said, what if you just try it? Nothing intimate, of course, just someone to help with bills. At that moment, I wasn't sure whether to laugh, cry, or slap him for even suggesting such a thing. But when I looked at him, I saw something else. Desperation. My husband, my protector, the man who promised to always take care of me, was at his wit's end. This wasn't about him wanting me to go off and be with someone else. This was his way of trying to fix our situation. After days of going back and forth, we finally agreed to try it. Just platonic relationships, nothing beyond talking. We even set rules. No physical intimacy. Always communicate about the people I'm talking to. If either of us feels uncomfortable, we stop. He even helped me create my profile on Tinder. If someone had seen us that night, they would think we were planning a new business venture. I sat on the couch typing out my bio while he threw in suggestions. Don't put that you're married, he said. They might not respond. I rolled my eyes but followed his advice. The messages started pouring in almost immediately. Rich men from all over the world wanting to spoil me. At first, it was thrilling. The attention, the compliments, it felt good, I won't lie. But the reality set in quickly. Most of them wanted more than just talking. When I told them I wasn't interested in anything physical, they disappeared faster than NEPA light during a Champions League match. What shocked me even more was my husband's reaction. Instead of being jealous or uncomfortable, he seemed excited. One evening, as I showed him the messages I was receiving, he smiled and said, "You're really popular on this site. It's kind of a turn-on." I nearly choked on the plantain chips I was eating. Turn on? How did we get here? This is the same man who once got upset because I wore a dress that was too tight to a friend's wedding. Now, he was okay with me sending flirty messages and pictures to strange men online. It was like he had done a complete 180. I started to worry. Was this really about our finances, or was there something deeper going on? He started suggesting that I could maybe push the boundaries a little. Sexting, video chats. It's not like you're meeting them in person, he said. And if it helps us pay the bills, why not? Ah, my people, that's when I knew something was off. My husband, the same man who would once check my phone just to make sure no man was disturbing me, was now encouraging me to entertain strangers online. I didn't know whether to be worried, angry, or confused. At first, I thought maybe he was testing me. Maybe this was some elaborate plan to see if I would betray him. But as the days went by, it became clear he was serious. One evening, as I was scrolling through messages on Tinder, I got a notification from someone who stood out. His profile picture was polished. A well-dressed man in his late 40s, sitting in what looked like a luxurious office. His message was polite, not like the others who dived straight into asking for pictures or dates. He introduced himself as Kunle, a Nigerian tech entrepreneur who spent most of his time abroad but visited Lagos frequently. Unlike the others, Kunle didn't immediately ask for anything intimate. Instead, he wanted to know about my interests, my goals, and what had brought me to the site. For the first time, I felt like I was having a real conversation, not just playing a role. When I told my husband about Kunle, he was surprisingly enthusiastic. Maybe this is the one, he said, his eyes lighting up. If he's serious and willing to help, why not explore it? His reaction threw me off. This wasn't jealousy or concern. It was almost excitement. Kunle and I started talking more regularly. He wasn't pushy, and he seemed genuinely interested in helping me. He offered to send money without asking for anything in return, saying he respected my boundaries. At first, I refused, but when our electricity bill came due and we didn't have enough to pay it, I found myself accepting his offer. When the money came through, my husband was ecstatic. "This is it," he said, hugging me tightly. "This is the breakthrough we've been waiting for." On the surface, we were a team, but underneath, resentment was starting to brew. I resented him for putting me in this position, for being okay with me relying on another man. And I couldn't help but wonder if he resented me too, for being the one who could attract the kind of attention that brought in money. Our once vanilla marriage had turned into something unrecognizable. My husband, who used to be so protective and traditional, was now encouraging me to do things that would have shocked him just a year ago. And me? I didn't know who I was anymore. Was I a wife? A sugar baby? A hustler just trying to make ends meet? I felt like I was losing pieces of myself with every transaction. One evening, Kunle asked to meet for dinner. I agreed, thinking it would be another harmless encounter. We met at a luxurious restaurant in Victoria Island, the kind of place I'd never been able to afford. Kunle was charming, attentive, and genuinely interested in my life. Then, halfway through dinner, he dropped a bombshell. "I want to make you an offer," he said, leaning closer. "I'll give you 20 million naira if you spend one night with me." Ah, my heart stopped. 20 million naira? Do you know what that kind of money can do for us? It would clear all our debts, pay our rent for years, and even give my husband the capital he's been dreaming of for his business. But at what cost? I stared at him, speechless. "Kunle, you know I'm married," I finally managed to say. "That's why I'm offering this as a one-time thing," he replied calmly. "No strings attached. Just one night, and I'll transfer the money immediately." I felt a lump in my throat. This wasn't part of the deal. We agreed on boundaries, strict boundaries. But here I was, being offered an amount of money that could change our lives forever. When I got home, I couldn't even look my husband in the eye. He was sitting on the couch, watching TV, completely oblivious to the storm raging in my head. Do I tell him? Would he understand? Or would this break us completely? On one hand, this money could solve everything. No more sleepless nights. No more arguments about bills. My husband could finally start his business, and we could rebuild our lives. But on the other hand, would I ever forgive myself? Would my husband ever look at me the same way again? I lay awake that night, replaying Kunle's words in my head. 20 million naira. It's not just money, it's freedom. But at what cost? My dignity, my marriage, my peace of mind. The worst part is, a small voice inside me wonders if my husband would even object. He's already been so open to this arrangement, even encouraging me at times. Would he see it as a sacrifice for the greater good? Or would it destroy whatever trust we have left? Now, I'm at a crossroads. Every option feels like the wrong one. Do I tell my husband and risk him agreeing? Or worse, being disappointed in me for considering it? Do I ignore Kunle's offer and keep struggling, knowing we could have had a way out? Or do I accept, close my eyes, and hope we can move past it? My fellow women, I need your advice. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you take the money and pray it doesn't break you? Or would you walk away, even if it means living with the weight of what if? I honestly don't know what to do. All I know is that this decision will change everything. My marriage, my sense of self, and the life we've been trying to build together. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are more stories like this to share.